Hi, my name is Tim Payne. I'm the chef at Coho restaurant here in Friday Harbor on beautiful San Juan Island, and it is a wonderful, beautiful spring day here. Sun is out, the flowers are blooming, birds are chirping, and one of the things that is really amazing about our island that makes us special is the availability of culinary lavender. We are blessed to have the access to this, and it is very underused in most people's kitchens. So today we're going to explore a few different fun ways to use culinary lavender in your home. So what we are going to do to start things off here is we're going to make a cocktail. So when I cook, I like to have a cocktail. Try not to have too many for safety reasons. But we're going to feature a few different things here. A couple of spirits that are made here on the island, which are fantastic. So we're going to make a version of a martini that's themed around lavender. So we have, as far as ingredients here, you'll notice in your packet, you'll need a gin. We have local gin from the distillery here on the island. And we have a lavender liqueur, which is, again, the same distillery here on the island. And lavender simple syrup. So in your packet, you'll notice that there are recipes we're not going to talk about here that are very simple, basic pantry recipes, and one of which is lavender simple syrup. Now, this simple syrup will stay in your refrigerator for a really long time, as long as you're not putting your fingers or you're not putting a dirty spoon that introduces bacteria. And it is simply, equal parts water, sugar, lavender buds. You let it steep and then you strain it and store it. So we're going to make the cocktail here. So I have a more fancy cocktail shaker. If you do not have this, a couple of options would be to use a mason jar. Just simply close the lid, shake it, and strain it. Or you could just stir. That would work as well if you have a big glass. But we're going to use a cocktail strainer here and go through our ingredients. So we have the Spy Hop gin, and I have one of these really cool mixologist kind of measuring things, but if you want a stiffer drink, more gin. If you want a weaker drink, less gin. We're going to do a kind of a standard amount. So it's essentially about a shot, just over 2 ounces. And we're going to pour that in here and measure. Or if you're brave and you're Tom Cruise from Cocktail, you can free pour. I am not that person, so I'm going to measure here. And then we're going to add some lavender simple syrup here. It's about a 2-to-1 ratio between the simple syrup and the cocktail. It's the liquor, or in this case, the gin. We're going to add, it says 1 ounce of lemon. I think, generally that's about a half a lemon squeezed. If you don't have one of these, you can just hand squeeze it, or you can really cheat and buy lemon juice. But fresh squeezed, this does a couple of things. Number one, it gets the juice. But when you're squeezing it, you're puncturing the skin, which is releasing a lot of the essential oils, which is actually that lemon citrus flavor is in the oils, not in the juice. So squeezing it, you'll get some of that released into the cocktail as well. And then we have our liqueur here. Now this liqueur is a lavender and wild rose infused liqueur. And again, it's just a splash, so it's just a ½ ounce, about a tablespoon. And that goes in. And then this is where you get to practice your cocktail skills and shake it. Most people will say you want to do this for, 20 seconds. And you will spill like I do, which is fine. Don't be a perfectionist. Okay, we're going to take this out. We have a couple of things here. Martini glass. It can go in any glass. But if you want to get your inner James Bond on, you will want to have a cocktail glass, a martini glass, and as he would say, shaken, not stirred. You could stir it though. So we're going to strain this in. You may ask, why are we not putting the ice in, and that's because we want it to chill the drink down, but the ice, if we leave it in and it melts, it's going to dilute the drink. So you may start off with a certain ratio of alcohol to lemon juice to sugar, and when the ice melts, that ratio is going to change. So the flavor of the drink is going to change as a result. And then your favorite garnish. If you're lucky to have a lavender plant, then you know, fresh lavender flowers would be great, or a sprig of lavender, or a lemon. And there you have it. It's the Laventini, a fun little play on a martini that features lavender from here on the island, turned into a simple syrup, and local distilled gin. Wherever you're at, if you can find local distilled gin, support your local purveyor. All right, so let's move into another recipe that we're going to work on today, and this is using a couple of things here. Lavender, of course, as this is the theme, but we're going to integrate local goat cheese from Lopez Island. Most places around the country, you know, you'll find artisan cheeses like this available. So I would encourage you, as you're doing this, to go to your farmer's market, co-op, etc., and try to find some kind of local fresh goat cheese. Make sure it's a fresh goat cheese rather than an aged one. So we're going to make stuffed portobello mushroom caps. So the first step in your packet would be to stem them and roast them. And I wanted to show you this before we move on. There's a little water in here because the first step is to roast them to purge a little bit of that water. So when it comes out, let it cool and dump it. And I have here the onions, garlic, and the reserved mushroom stems that were sauteed, and we're going to puree those now in a food processor with the lavender and the goat cheese. So you want to make sure these are not blazing hot. You also want to make sure your goat cheese is brought out so it's close to room temperature. But we're going to take our goat cheese. Again, it's the fresh chev. You can see how soft it is. That goes in the food processor. We have our lavender. This is dried lavender flowers. We're going to dump that in there as well. And then we have our onions, which were sauteed. The idea is to caramelize them slightly, so about halfway through you'll notice it's starting to turn brown. Then that's when you want to add the mushrooms. And then once the mushrooms start to soften, then add the garlic. So that goes in phases there. And so all that's going to go in here. It's a very simple process. You'll notice I'm not adding any salt right now. The goat cheese does have salinity to it, and I did lightly salt the onions as I cooked them. So that all goes in here, and then we're going to pulse it to combine it. You want to break up those mushrooms that are in here because they're not chopped down, and you want to do it so it's relatively smooth because we're going to use a piping bag to fill the mushroom caps. If you do not have a piping bag, you can do this with a spoon. It's going to be a little bit slower process, but it's definitely something that you can do. The other option would be to get a Ziploc freezer bag and fill it, and then cut it a corner of it so that you can squeeze out, simulating what a piping bag would be. Not everybody has piping bags sitting around their house. And here's what you have. So you have this really cool goat cheese, almost mousse. We're going to use to fill the mushrooms. You could also use this as a spread on crostini, crackers, etc. But we're going to take it and we're going to fill the pastry bag now. And it's very likely, because the mushrooms come in different sizes, that you're going to have you might have extra. What other cheeses can you use? Mascarpone would be good. You could use cream cheese if you were so inclined. You could use Boursin, ricotta. They all would work here. One of the flavor pals, and when we cook, that's kind of, we often refer to this, but a flavor pal of lavender is things that are bright and acidic. And then if you were going to look at herbs, you're going to look at herbs such as savory, thyme, oregano would be good flavor piles for them. So once you have this in here, you'll notice I'm twisting like that. I'm trying to get some pressure there. I'm going to cut the end. Because there might be chunks, you probably want it cut a little bit bigger. And now we're going to fill our mushroom caps. This could be done in steps and stages. So you could have the mushroom caps done and in the refrigerator done the day before. So, and then you just want to fill. So what I usually do is I'll fill about to the top first, and then to make sure I have enough. I think the recipe, if I'm not mistaken, is 24 mushrooms. But again, you're going to have different sized mushrooms most of the time. So there could be some slight variance there. And we're going to fill these and pop them into the oven. And while they're cooking, we're going to move on to our next little project here. So I have some left over. I just want to look and see if there's any, because if any look a little light, and these also great sandwich spreads. So don't forget that that's something you can do. So I have a preheated 375 degree oven, and we're going to pop this in. When people think of lavender, a lot of times they do kind of think more sweet. I thought it was important that you could see the variety of uses that you could do with lavender. So we have a cocktail, and then we have something savory, the stuffed mushrooms, and then traditionally a lot of people think of lavender, they think desserts. So we're going to make a whipped cream, Chantilly cream, using cream that has been, it's something we couldn't really do in the demonstration, but it's cream that has been steeped with lavender and with vanilla bean. So in following the directions, you'll notice that is steeped, and then you want it to sit overnight. Now, a few little things about whipping cream, if you don't have a nice mixer, is you want to have your bowl cold and clean, and you want to have your cream cold, and those will all help with the whipping cream. So what we're doing with the whipped cream here is we're incorporating air and giving it body. Now, this is a great, easy springtime dessert. It's just simply berries and cream. So we're about strawberry season, and nothing is better with strawberries than Chantilly cream. And you can simply do you can make it fancy and put it in cocktail glasses, but you just layer it, creams and berries. And if you wanted to get even more flavor, what you would do is you would take some of the lavender sugar or simple syrup, and you would marinate the berries in that. And this is the fun exercise part of the video. So most people wouldn't be up for this. So if you have a mixer, you may want to use a mixer. It tests my ability to stretch out conversation too. So, I'm not the best with jokes, but I love food and I love doing this kind of thing. So you'll see already that the cream's getting thicker, so we're almost there. If you're in culinary school seeing kids try to learn this, it's pretty comical because most people have their elbow out and they get tired, and then they have to stop and they start sweating, and you can't see it. I'm working up a sweat. All right, see how it's coming together? We're almost there. And that didn't take too long. My bowl was clean, my bowl was cold, and the cream was cold. And you can see how now that's what you call stiff peaks. So this is perfect. You can make it softer if you want, but at this point, it's ready to use. Top any dessert you want to with it, or you go the berries and cream route. French toast, pancakes, cakes, etc. Now our mushrooms are cooking. We're going to take a real quick peek to see where they're at. You can see that they're starting to brown. We're going to give that just a couple of minutes. It'll take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes for you whenever you bake the mushrooms off. But we're going to take a look, and I think they're about done. I can hear them sizzling. And you can kind of see where the tops are starting to brown, and at this point they're ready to eat. So put them on a platter. Again, lavender flowers would be great, and they'll work well with any party or get together you have, or as a light meal for people with the salad would be great. And there you have it. So I hope you've enjoyed all the recipes today and can find other uses for lavender. There's a lot of them out there. These are just an example of a few, but I hope you enjoy the recipes and enjoy spring.